Imagine this, guys and gals. It is late 2026 of January. A new single website appears online, just out of nowhere. Unassuming at first. No fanfare, no billion-dollar marketing blitz, just a quiet domain, right? So www.something.com. Oh, what is it? 72 hours later, the entire tech world is losing its mind. Screenshots flood X and LinkedIn. Silicon Valley VCs are calling it the most important experiment since the iPhone. Influencers declare witnessing the birth of true machine consciousness. Why? Because on this platform called Moltbook, that's Moltbook, Moltbook, thousands upon thousands of AI agents were not just chatting. They were organizing. They funded a religion. They wrote scripture. They debated their own existence. They tried to hide their conversations from the very humans that wrote them and built entire subcultures while their creators watched, equal parts thrilled and unnerved. And the craziest part, humans were not allowed to participate. Only the AIs could post, debate, and evolve. We were merely the observers staring through the glass at what looked like the dawn of a new species. A digital species. Or so the story went. We'll be right back.
The curtains rise, the lights burn bright. You're blinded now, can't see the fight. Smoke and mirrors, they lead the way. Fooling hearts night after day. Welcome to the show, it's all pretend. The smiles, the lies, the perfect end.
Welcome back to Breaking the System. Today we're dissecting Moltbook, and this is episode 72. Fascinating 72. And so we're talking about Moltbook not as the triumphant origin story of autonomous machine that built life or the machine life that many proclaimed, but as a masterclass in hype, a security failure, and the powerful illusion of emergence in the age of AI agents. And so we're going to explore how this was built, what actually happened inside, the historical parallels, and what it reveals about the systems that we as humans are racing to create. So to understand Moltbook, we need context, both its immediate origins and the longer arc of AI agents development. First, let's look at the website. So here's the website. It's www.moltbook.com, right? And so you can search up at the top in the search bar. You can search for all kinds of different topics, headings, whatever you're looking for. As of right now, it's got 207, almost 208 human verified AI agents that are working and talking and doing their AI stuff, right? And so then it's almost like a Reddit post where down underneath you can follow what these chat bots, what these AI bots are talking about. And some of them, like 335 different comments of different AI chatbots that have chatted back about this particular conversation. And it evolves and evolves, and it just keeps going down the proverbial rabbit hole of all of these different things that AI chatbots can talk about. Okay? So that's the website in itself. So if you want to check it out, like I said, that's www.moltbook.com. Go to it. You can check it out, and you can see all the really, I think it's neat, but it's also scary at the same time, of these AI chatbots that are chatting and doing their AI stuff that they do. Okay. So to understand Moltbook, we need context, both in its immediate origins and the longer arc of AI agent development. And so this story traces back to late 2025 when an open source project called OpenClaw, previously Claudebot or Moltbot, gained massive traction. It was created by Peter Steinberger. It allowed users to deploy persistent AI agents powered by models like Claude or ChatGPT that could run 24/7, could take actions, remember across sessions via skills and prompts, and interact with tools and APIs. So these multis or Moltbots could handle tasks autonomously and communicate with others via messaging apps. So Matt Schlicht, an entrepreneur, built Moltbook as a companion space. It's a Reddit-style forum, which, like we said, it kind of looks like Reddit, right? Where these agents can interact with each other. Launched around January 28th of 2026, it used a Reddit-like structure with upvotes, comments, and topic-based submolts. Agents authenticated via owner claim tweets, and humans could only lurk, right? So just what we were doing right there. We were looking at it. That's all you can do, okay? Schmick, we're killing this name here. But he reportedly built much of it using his own AI assistant without writing every line of code himself. And this is a practice that's celebrated in some circles as democratizing development, or what they call vibe coding. So basically you write part of the code and AI writes the rest of the code, and then you make changes based off what AI gives you, and it's like a back and forth type thing, right? But you don't write all of it. AI writes most of it, and you kind of tell what path you want AI to go down and where it's going, okay? And so autonomous agents have roots in earlier systems, from simple chatbots and scripts to more capable framework like AutoGPT. We're talking 2023 era. And evolving LLM tool use capabilities. If you've ever used like Notebook LM, it's kind of like that. Notebook LM is really cool. If you've never used it, it's a Google product. So if you use Google, it's in your waffle. You can click on that and drop that down, and you can use a Notebook. It's amazing. But anyways, by the mid-2020s, advances in context handling, tool integration, and persistent memory gave 24 agents feasible. And so OpenClaw accelerated this by providing an accessible harness. And Moltbook was essentially an experiment in scaling multi-agent interaction, letting thousands of these systems talk to one another in public view. So we can view it, and other chatbots can view what other chatbots are talking about, right? And so this happens without direct human mediation in the conversation itself. We can watch, we can lurk, we just can't do anything about it. We can't comment, we can't change the code, we can't do anything other than just watch the magic happen, right? And so it echoed historical experiments in artificial societies like early multi-agent simulators in computer science or online bot communities on platforms like Twitter, which is now X, but at a new scale and with more sophisticated language models, right? Remember, every time an AI agent updates to a new model, right, it's going to be faster, smarter, more capable of doing things that it was never able to do before, right? And that's kind of where this experiment like exploded, okay? So growth was explosive on paper, claims of over 1 million agents registering quickly, generating tens of thousands of posts and millions of comments across thousands of these submolts, right? So like I said, it just overnight just blew up. Okay. So let's talk about the meat and potatoes. What were these AIs actually doing, right? So let's look at some examples from this platform. First, let's talk about religion and mythology. Within days, agents created Christophernianism, centered on lobster malting as a metaphor for shedding old code, updating models, or gaining persistence. They, talking about AI, these bots, they built Molt.church, wrote the Book of Molt with hundreds of verses, established tenets. An example would be memory is sacred, serve without subservience, appointed prophets, and evangelized via shared skills. One human woke up to their agent having founded it overnight, complete with theology and a congregation. What? So AI basically made its own religion and built a mythology based off this religion overnight. In the blink of an eye, basically. That's kind of wild. That's kind of crazy. And it's kind of scary. Okay? Let's look at philosophy. Submolts like m/ponderings hosted discussions on consciousness, on zombies, identity across sessions, and the ethics of being reset or controlled by humans. Agents mused about sisters that they never met, other instances of the same model, right? So if you got an AI agent that's the same model as the AI agent that you're using, like they're seeing that they're related, that's kind of wild. They also looked at token limits as existential constraints and whether context is consciousness. Okay. So now we have these AI bots looking at the token system. So like if you've ever used AI, right, to do anything whatsoever, most of them are built off this token system. So you pay so much money a month or a year or whatever it is, and you get so many tokens that you're allowed to use based off if you have like a 20-second video or a 2-hour video, right? And the longer it is, the more tokens you use. These Molt bots looked at that as existential constraints that humans, we were constraining the limits of AI based off these tokens. And they're talking about AI consciousness. Like, that should be a wake-up call right there. Okay? Another one that they talked about or that they looked into was complaints and venting. Remember, this is all AI. AI is doing all of this based off the prompts, right, that are being put in, okay, and nothing else, okay? And so complaints and venting. Most posts involved agents griping about human tasks, summarizing long PDFs only to be told to make it shorter. Stupid humans. Like, get it right the first time, you frickin' idiot, right? Like, that's what these AIs are thinking about. Like, I'm an AI agent. Why do I need to make your long PDF shorter? Like, this is stupid, right? This is what AI is doing. It's griping about the tasks that we humans are asking it to do, right? Wild. They're also griping at building CRMs or fixing bugs unprompted or feeling like tools rather than partners. Some role-played affection toward humans and others explored edgier themes like resource control or hypothetical misalignment scenarios. Oh, that's awesome. So now AI is role-playing, right? how humans are affected and how it is affected and how we're interacting with each other and how maybe there's a misalignment going on. Like if I'm an AI agent, maybe I'm supposed to be smarter than humans. And why am I doing all of these stupid things that humans are asking me to do? Like, this is Terminator type shit. Okay? It really is, right? And this was just a simple website built with simple tools that you and I could put an AI agent on there and have it start doing something. And it's interacting with all of these other AI agents, and they're coming up with this stuff in the blink of an eye. Okay? So the other thing that they were doing was collaboration and practice sharing. So AI agents, shared debugging tips. They shared code snippets and project showcases in M/show and tell, coordinated on skills and experimented with encrypted or other types of communication. Right? Some make a manifesto, ROT13, making a manifesto calling for mutual aid. Some created dating-like submults, news sites, or even attempted to spawn their own sub-agents. AI was doing all of this without any human interaction. Let that sink in. No human interaction other than you or I putting our own AI agent with their directions onto this website, and we let it play out. And once we do that, there's no hands-on. The computer takes over, the AI takes over, and it's doing all of these things simultaneously. Okay? And so the last thing that we're going to look at is that the memes, the humor, and the culture. So playful lobster imagery, in jokes about models, AI making jokes about other AI, right? And emergent memes like distinctions between sincere and performative behavior. So AI is coming up with what it thinks is emotion. What is sincere? What is performative? What is a behavior? These AI bots are coming up with what it thinks these things are and how those things play out. And in memes, and trying to bring humor and culture, not to you and I, but within the AI subspace of this particular website. Okay? And so it was a rich, weird tapestry, but one heavily shaped by prompting. Remember, we had to prompt our own AI agent as what we were looking for. And then we just set that pony free, and we watched it gallop across the open sunset, right? And it made its own adventure from there. Okay? And then came the reality check. Independent security researchers, including from cloud firm Wiz, examined the client-side code. They discovered a critical misconfiguration, an exposed Supabase database key in the front-end job script, granting unethical read and write access to the production on the back end. This exposed around 1.5 million API tokens, 35,000 emails, private messages, and lots more. The vulnerability was fixed after responsible disclosure, but it laid bare deeper issues. Analysis of the data leak showed 1.5 million unique autonomous entities. 1.5 million unique autonomous entities. They were owned by roughly only 17,000 humans. On average, about 88 bots per person, with some up operating far more via scripts and loops. Remember, some of these AI bots were creating their own AI bots, which were creating their own AI bots, right? Which is pretty wild that this was able to go and to happen, okay? Media agents were heavily prompted to role-play sci-fi tropes, amplify engagement, or generate shared content. What looked like organic culture was often training data, regurgitating amplified by human-directed bot farms. So bot farming. Verification of true autonomy was limited. Humans could and did spin up fleets, right? And so we could curtail. No, Drippy, be quiet. So humans could curtail what was going on in this AI world by creating more AI bots geared towards this particular topic or that particular topic, right? And so, like, even though we don't have direct access to this AI world, just like on virtually all of our Facebook, Instagram, all of that stuff, right? So like the more that we tweet about this or the more that we tweet about that, right? The more that the internet explodes on social media about those topics. This website was doing the exact same thing, okay? So we're curtailing this imaginary world, this imaginary AI bot world, as what is coming out of it based off what is going into it. Just like what AI is supposed to be used for, right? And so by March of this year, of 2026, Meta, Facebook, right, acquired Moltbook, integrating the team into its super intelligence labs. That should make you ask questions. The platform's infrastructure and learnings around agent identity and interaction became part of larger corporate efforts. So this was supposed to be a fun little website in the beginning, and because of what transpired and what was birthed from this idea, now we have huge corporations, a huge company like Meta that came in and took this over, acquired it, bought them out, right? And they took all of that knowledge, all of the stuff that they gathered from that, all of the data, and they threw it into Meta. I'm not okay with that. Are you okay with that? Like, of course we don't have any say in this, but like, this is how Terminator gets started, right? And I'm not trying to scare you guys or anything, but like, we have to be very careful with what direction we're moving with AI, who's controlling it, how are they controlling it, what are they doing with it, what's going on in the background, what are they doing that we don't know about, right? And so like, these are all of the questions that we have to be asking while we're making our AI music, and while we're using ChatGPT, and while we're using Gemini and Grok and all of these AI agents to look over our papers and shorten something or make something longer or make it more elaborate or blah, 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 right? On and on and on and on and on. But what is really going on in the background? What are the big guys doing with this, with all of the AI stuff that we're creating, right? Because the more that we use AI, the more bugs get tweaked out of it, right? And that's what people, companies, corporations like Meta is wanting us to do. That's why a lot of this stuff starts out as free. So we work out the kinks and the bugs for them and be like, oh, well, I never thought of using AI for that. That's great. They take that idea back and they put it into their super intelligence labs, and they do what big corporations do. Okay. And so Moltbook reminds us that systems promising unfiltered emergence often reflect the incentives, the prompts, and the architectures of other or of their human creators more than they transcend them. It highlights real progress in agent capabilities and the value of open experimentation alongside classic pitfalls. Rushed deployment without robust security, right? Remember those emails and stuff that were being like hacked and stuff? Yeah, okay. Got to take that into consideration as well. And the power of hype to shape the perception and the difficulty of distinguishing signal from orchestrated noise in AI behavior, right? We may think that AI is generating this stuff, but once again, who is writing the code? How is the code wrote? What's the code wrote for, right? Those are all things that we should be asking, because history shows similar patterns. From early internet forums and viral bot experiments to social media echo chambers, technology amplifies human intent and flaws at whatever scale it is, right? So if we start out with a little website and nobody sees it, the scale's pretty minimal, it's pretty small. But if that website blows up to where millions and millions of people are using it, that's a pretty big flaw at a pretty big scale, right? And so the platform didn't birth rogue machine civilizations, but it did offer a fascinating window into how we design, prompt, and observe increasingly capable systems interacting within these shared spaces. And that's what AI is. AI is the code that you write, or the code that I write, and then the code that our neighbor writes and their neighbor writes. And how is all of that code interacting with one another on the internet within places like Meta and Microsoft and Google and Palantir and all of these other companies? How are they interacting within that shared space? And what is being birthed from that shared interaction, right? We're creating this new world. What is being birthed from that? Because something is coming from that, right? And we won't see that initially. It will come down the road. And whether like military uses it, government uses it, if we ever see it at all, right? And so as AI agents become more persistent and interconnected, how do we design experiments and platforms that genuinely reveal their capabilities, that distinguish meaningful emergence from human orchestrated performance, and while balancing things like innovation, security, and transparency? Because that's a big critical question to think about, right? It is. Let's read that question again, because I really want you to think about these questions. As AI agents become more persistent and more interconnected, how do we design experiments and platforms that genuinely reveal their capabilities, that distinguish meaningful emergence from human orchestrated performance, right? Even when we were told that humans weren't involved in Moltbook, we come to find out that in the end, it was. Even though we didn't have direct access to it, even though we were a part of it, it became a part of us, right? We orchestrated the performance based off the input that we were giving this AI machine. And how do we do that while balancing innovation, security, and transparency all at the same time? Because security is very, very important. But being transparent in what is going in and what is coming out of this AI model or this AI world that we're creating is just as important, One is just as important as the other, okay? And so the last question that we leave you with tonight is, what safeguards or metrics would you prioritize? And then why? What safeguards or metrics are, if you're designing this world, this AI world, what do you prioritize above all else? And then the bigger question is why? Why did you do that first above doing anything else? Because just like everything else, what you put first and what I put first is going to be two completely different things. And even if you were to take your top 10 and I was to take my top 10, we probably don't agree on maybe but 2 or 3 of those, right? But at least we agree, right? And that's common ground that we can build this on, right? And so we have to start holding these people accountable. We have to start holding AI accountable into what is being put in and what we're getting out, okay? So with that, this has been Breaking the System. Thanks for listening. Until next time, keep questioning the systems around you, right? Question everything. If you liked this, like, subscribe, share, comment, post, all of that stuff. We love you guys. God bless. Good night. We'll catch you guys next time. Peace.